Hello, friends and family. I've been meaning to make a video for a while now with a few updates on life in Japan and more so for this video, teaching. So as some of you know, I am teaching in Japan. Also, if my English is a little weird or I'm making a lot of gestures, it's from living in Japan teaching. I teach in senior high schools, which is like 17, 18-year-olds. But in training, you have to change your voice, speak a little slower and clearer. So at times, you slow down your voice, and when you're speaking to someone in English who's a native speaker, you speak in a natural voice. So if my voice kind of changes, that's probably why. But this will probably be a pretty long video, considering there's a lot of information. So if you do watch the whole thing, I appreciate it, and hopefully it's interesting. So so a little bit more about teaching specifically. I'm going to try to make more videos with different topics and things like that I know some of you want to hear about, but more specifically, again, teaching. So for me, I teach at 6 senior high schools. It's not very uncommon, but a lot of people in my program or the company I work for specifically have like 1 or 2 schools, maybe 3. So it's a unique situation. But for me, it ranges. Some of my schools are much closer and things like that to where I live. I have a car in Japan, so I travel to the different schools. So it's not that bad. It's maybe half an hour for the longest school, and maybe like 8 minutes for the shortest school. But I actually really like it. Teaching in Japan has been really fun so far. It's only been a little over a week. But yeah, that's a wide range for the schools in terms of just how they do things and how the students are. Some students' English ability is much higher than others in not only the classes but the schools themselves. It's been a lot of fun so far. Like I said, the teachers are really, really nice. I was a little worried, maybe in the back of my head, how that would kind of go. The way that it kind of works in Japan is that for the people that do know, and for the people that don't know, Japanese people tend to be very shy or conservative, so it can be difficult to have conversations. So you usually have to instigate it. So for the people that do know me, I'm not always the most, sociable person unless I know you. I can be very shy at times, so it's a great way to kind of open yourself up and help you kind of become more outgoing, which has been really nice. But a lot of the teachers actually have shown major interest in not only me personally, but things from America. Whether it's like different events or sports in America or food, tons of things. Some of the teachers are very actively, supportive in learning more English or just wanting to know more about my culture, or more so me being American, I guess. So that's been pretty nice. For the students, let's see, again, it varies, but in terms of the students, we actually have a lot of similarities. A lot of the students that I have, you do like a self-introduction. So before you start teaching, what you usually end up doing, at least in my case, was self-introductions, which is basically anywhere from 10 to 50 minutes. In Japan, in senior high schools, the classes are usually 50 minutes. So at times you might be teaching some of the class, you might be teaching the whole class. Every situation is different. So if you teach in Japan, you might have a completely different situation, especially if you're in elementary school or middle school. So for me, for the first few days that I've had at schools, I don't teach at multiple schools in a day. It's just one school per day. One school I teach at the school twice a week, usually. Some of the others, weekly, but once instead of twice. Some of them are once a month, so it definitely varies. But back to like the students, when you do the introduction, it's all about you and learning about the students. So you use like different props or flashcards. So the company gives you training on it, where you basically use giant flashcards of like things in your country and that you can show the students, as well as comparisons, like what's a popular food in Japan. So like sushi, and a popular food in America, or more specifically in America where you're from, things like that. So it's not too difficult, but it's a great way to kind of know the students, or get to know the students, as well as have them learn more about you. So a lot of my interest, especially for the ones that do know, are Japanese kind of culture, more so like anime, video games, and things like that. Or other sports such as like tennis, basketball, you name it. A lot of the students are able to connect with you a little better, it seems. When I mentioned certain anime, or certain, let's say, movies, shows, the students knew, and they kind of showed more interest. Again, Japanese people tend to be very shy. Again, not just students, adults, vice versa. So it helps when you're able to connect sort of with the students, because you have a similar interest. When I started talking about certain games I liked, one of my students was like, "Oh, really excited about the topic," and asked me more questions about my likes about the game, things like that, which was really cool. I didn't expect that. Because again, when you start out the class for the first time, they're really shy. I had maybe a couple students in a few classes that were more outgoing, but for the most part, they're pretty quiet. You have different ways to kind of make them feel more comfortable. We ended up playing a game, which is called Quickdraw. It's one of the games the company kind of shows you how to do, but it's a drawing game. You basically draw two squares on a board, and you have the students, you have like two volunteers. You basically tell them a secret word, so with cat. And, you have the students draw them, but they have a time limit. Anyway, so then the rest of the class guesses. So it's a very fun game. I really like it. It helps the students become a little more comfortable, and you can kind of have fun with the students' drawings. You only give them 5 seconds, and then you change it to 3 with a different secret word. So it's very interesting to see how the students react. I had the students draw I think for the first one, it was a cat. Another one was like a snake. But like, again, a lot of people were laughing. It was a fun activity. The people that were drawing had fun. One of my students actually wrote cat instead of drawing one. It was just a little misunderstanding, but it worked out great because, again, the students laughed and he thought it was pretty funny. He was like, "Oh, like, I mean, it was a mistake. Now I understand." But again, it was fun overall. The students were really active. The game made it a lot easier for me to continue like the lesson. But you also have the opposite spectrum. I have a few classes that are a little tougher. The students aren't as eager to learn English, so basically, because of that, you have to kind of change how you do things, it seems. I'm still kind of learning. As many of you know, I've never actually taught English, let alone to kids before. Not like in this kind of format. Because of that, it's all very new to me. But you get a good amount of training to kind of help you, start through the company. The company that I work for is a dispatch company, for the few of you that don't know. So again, they help you, they set you up with schools and where you live and things like that. And they give you a kind of a good way to get a feel for, what it's going to be like when you start teaching. And now that I've started teaching, I have a pretty good idea of what it's like so far. But there's definitely a lot more to come. There's a lot of events and different things that'll happen in the schools. In Japan, they actually do a lot of different things, like sports days or cultural festivals, which take up a lot of time throughout the school day, school weeks, where they're planning and things like that. I actually was able to go to one at one school. It was amazing. I wish we had them in America, but unfortunately, at least where I grew up, we don't. But they did different performances, the students, as well as they did a t-shirt contest. Each class has their own t-shirt that they designed. So the classes, a few of them would do like different acts or skits. in those t-shirts and then, perform doing that. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, they actually did a few songs, and I was like, oh my god, I know this song, which was really cool because I didn't expect to necessarily know. I mean, I listened to a lot of Japanese music, but, I didn't know that they would do those performances. So, but again, it was a lot of fun, and it was interesting just to see the different acts that they did or how the students kind of reacted, overall. Also, I just totally realized that there's like a string or a light that keeps moving over there. So sorry for that. I didn't really think too much about the background before recording the video. This is my fancy apartment wall, as you can see. But I'll probably make a short video showing my apartment for the ones that wanted to see it. I know a good amount of people wanted to actually see, and they don't know what a Japanese apartment, or what we call a Leo Palace, it's the type of apartment that I'm in, looks like. But yeah, again, it's a lot of fun so far, and I'm really excited to keep teaching. I like it a lot more than I thought I would. I kind of had a feeling I would like it. Again, for the few of you that do know that I've been interested in teaching, I really enjoy teaching. I love helping people learn, different things, or I'm kind of famous for fun facts, just random tidbits of information all the time. My friends will tell you that I'm always saying something really random, like, did you know, or this is a fun fact. So, again, it's a really fun job to do, where you're basically, teaching English, but you're also just teaching, the students and other teachers about, a different culture and a different way of thinking and things like that. So, again, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what school life has been so far. Overall, anyways, again, I'll know a little bit more as I continue, but that's kind of a big general update. Again, I told myself I would make videos, so I'm going to try to make videos. I say that now, and I'll probably kick myself later when I'm like, oh, why didn't I post a video? But again, it was pretty long, so I'd appreciate it if you did watch it at all, especially if you watched all of it. And yeah, I guess let me know if there's anything more specific you want to know, like different friends and family that, if there's something more specific in Japan you want to know, or things like that. But yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed my little, speech about Japanese schools, or at least my life in Japanese schools. I'll probably do another video again, more in depth on maybe how the schools kind of work, if you're interested. Again, I know some of you have said that you were a little more interested, but again, I can make a video more so about that. And as I continue to make videos, I'll have more specific topics or different topics of Japan, life in Japan, etc., etc. So, but yeah, again, thanks a lot. And that's it.